Hello and welcome to Casting Rolls, where a bunch of theater nerds and good friends play a little D&D. We're so happy that you joined us. Take a moment to subscribe to the show. It takes just a click and gains our unending thanks. Drop us a like and leave us a comment for Campaign 2. Our videos are uploaded here on YouTube every Friday, and we have tons of great content to explore. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start the show. So last time, our crew of adventurers returned to the Shapers of Stone village on the mountain of Makta after victoriously purifying the mountain of the curse. Bearing a totem from the heart of the mountain, they met with Traume, who invited them to, in 2 days' time, to attend the Ritual of Orogenesis at the summit of the mountain. The group met with Admis K and Shara Yan to help understand the totem and learned it was designed in the style of stone giant work, but with the hand of the magic of witches. With this in mind, Bonnie and Ravik delved deeper into the history of witches within Illyria and found a reference to the Coven of Six, one of whom makes High Wall their home. Andalus met with Traume alone, where they discussed this very witch and the nature of witches in general. As you awake the next morning, these 2 days of yours are here to plan, relax, and rest before the ritual begins. So before we get into any kind of downtime and conversations around structuring a base building, is there anything that you guys would like to do to wrap up those elements? Or Lucky in particular, if there's anything from the adventure that you'd want to dive into a little bit deeper, because you're back after successfully closing the show.
I think you guys might have done more episodes without me than with me at this point, because I've been gone so long. I think I'm good.
Okay.
Before we get into it.
Perfect.
I got some notes from the last session, Josh. Can I just confirm these?
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's 6 witches in the Coven of Witches.
Yes.
So there's a circle of 6.
Circle of 6.
There's Elisande, who's the nature witch.
Well, hold on. Let me pull up my notes so I'm not telling you the wrong thing.
Is it the Coven of 6 or the Circle of 6?
So the Coven is called the Circle of 6, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Elisande, yes, is the witch of the natural world. So
you tried to Atwood, were you saying the name of the witch from Game of Thrones?
That was how I spelled it at first, and then I had to one-line it when Josh was like, no, not
Elisande.
that one.
Yeah. I'll just go through, you just maybe go through them, Atwood, and you can double check your stuff.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah.
Say them for me.
Yes, absolutely, Lucky. So Elisande is, we didn't get the, their monikers or their titles, but we did get their portfolios. So Elisande is the witch of the natural worlds, the flora and fauna of nature. Thalindra was a witch who dealt with the thin line between love and hate, and so would deal with lovers and also those scorned by love. And she's the one that makes High Wall her home. There's Morisande, who is the witch of water, deluge and streams and the oceans. There's Astrid, who is the witch of the heavens and the stars and the planes and the outer planes of existence and things like that of that nature. Tempestia, who is the witch of storms and gales and wind in general. And Morgana, who is the master of the spirit world and the veil between life and death.
Yep, that's what I had.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anything else you need to check there, Atwood?
Nope, that should do it.
All right. Anybody else before we dive into downtime stuff?
Housekeeping. I think my current tokens are Kieran, I think you have one
Mm-hmm.
cure wounds token.
Got that last session. Mm-hmm.
And then I think Lucky still has their
Lucky
shield.
still has the
I have a shield token.
I didn't
Yes.
use that. Yeah.
So those are the 2 active tokens.
2 active
So
tokens. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Josh, will you do me a favor and give a brief recap summary of the ritual of
Orogenesis?
Orogenesis?
So that's the ritual that allows the stone giants that have passed away to become part of the mountain and their spirits to be released so that they can be reborn in the future generations of stone giants.
Right.
And it's going to take place 2 days at the summit of the mountain, where there is the vein of Zephyrsite that's the heart of the mountain kind of peaks at that point.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. And Rob is worried about it.
We are concerned that something's going to go wrong during the ritual.
Why?
Because it's a ritual.
Nothing has ever gone wrong when there's a shit ton of Zephyrsite around canonically in this world. So,
I mean, just the last time a mountain of Zephyrsite was in the game, it literally flew. So I think we're okay.
It literally mass changed the memories of an entire country.
It did. That's true.
Just casually.
What am I worried about then?
Yes.
Exactly.
All right. So we'll move into the first section of our downtime, which is at some point in the morning after you all have breakfast. Remy brings you, as well as all of the members of the crew, down the mountain a little bit to the lowest platform or plateau of the mountain region. And over the course of the night, you can see large logs rolled on the ground and these massive ropes. And the stone giants over the course of the night have moved the frontier up to this lower plateau. And it's a fairly large space here that they're not using for terrace farming or for anything. And Remy informs you that this location has been set aside as a base structure for your expedition. And as you kind of arrive at the location, you can see several members of the expedition have started to organize things into their correct piles of what goes into what section. They're starting to gather materials to begin to construct temporary shelters and buildings. And so you have here a chance to direct the focus of the construction here. And kind of how we'll deal with the first phase. Our base is in the beginning phase of its construction. And so you guys can determine where you want them to put the most energy and what you think you would need at this stage of the expedition. So they will do any of these things at a normal pace just to get a baseline established. But you can have them put more focus into something. So instead of it taking like a week to finish, you could have it done before, in the next 3 days, they could have a temporary element of this. So you have access to it before you go off and do anything else in the region. So they're going to be building housing for people, but you could have them focus on a blacksmith who could, and the blacksmith that you have right now has the ability to repair, slightly enhance, or build new weapons and armor. You could establish a farm to allow for the growth of crops and food. Again, they're going to do these things without you, but these are things that you can press. You could build up the medic thing, which would allow for the creation of poultices and things that could help cure poisons and diseases, as well as the development of medical kits that you would be able to use even without proficiency in medic kits. The cartographer's spot, which could help give a space for the scouts to start going out and mapping the surrounding area, even if you're not the ones doing the mapping. The arcanist, where they can build the library. They could start setting up an enchanting space and start developing very basic magic items. An herbalist or alchemist to start brewing potions. Or if you think they need to focus on things like defensive structures, they could focus there.
I'm thinking herbalist for potions. Or chemist for the library.
I'm so sorry. When Josh said farm, my brain went farm sim. And I truly I heard everything,
Yes.
but I don't think that is what we should focus on, but I just got so excited.
I will say the game did end last time with there is the potential for us to just turn this into a base building campaign. So
Yes.
yeah. So I'll just go through very, very quickly. A blacksmith, because there's a few other options that you guys have, but you're at level 1. So
I got you offline for a sec.
That's fine. Those will pop up later on. Blacksmith, farm, medical facility, the cartographers, arcanists, herbalists, or defensive structures.
The 3 that really jump out to me are the arcanist, herbalist, and the cartographer. I really, really want to get started on the cartographer, though. I think that would be extremely helpful if we get the area mapped. Even if we aren't the ones going out and mapping it, we could circle back around and do a deeper dive. But if we get a basic layout, I think that would be super helpful.
I do think it's important that we know what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they can also find points of interest before and that we want to know about, stuff like that, and that can help us.
So you guys have narrowed down to arcanist, herbalist, and cartographer. So here's what base level, so what they would be able to develop in 3 days, what you would get. So cartographer would mean that the scouts, Thresh and Antiope, would begin the process of spending their time mapping out the surrounding about 5 or 6 miles around this space. And so you, over the course of a few days or weeks, they would highlight key locations, especially things like resources or points of interest around the area, and they would help flesh out the map for you. With them doing that, there's there'll be rolls on tables for me about what types of things that they find. And by having the cartographer guild established, the DC on those rolls lowers a little bit. So they'd be more likely to find interesting things or things of use. For herbalist and alchemist, if you develop that one, they would be able to begin production of basic level, common level potions. So you'd have access to, standard potions of healing, anti, poisons and venoms and things like that. And then for the arcanists, they would, Admus K's library would now be open to everybody. Instead of having to make having deals like Bonnie had to make last time to borrow books. You'd be able to direct them in research tasks so that when you're out on an adventure, you could ask them to research a certain number of categories. And Shara, Weller, and Admus would spend the time doing that research for you. And then they would come back with all of their results, and they would have access to common level enchanting. So if you wanted to upgrade a weapon or a piece of armor to a +1 or something like that.
Rob, while you were gone, basically all we talked about is the cartographers would be able to map out the 6 miles around us and do points of interest, key stuff like that. And we were kind of leaning towards that as one of our focuses.
Yeah. To me, it seems like that based on the points of interest. The herbalist, because we could need potions of healing. Yeah. Or the arcanist would be the 3 that need to go first, but in what order, I don't know that it matters.
I feel like we have a lot of healing, so it doesn't necessarily need to be super high on our list.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So I think we can focus on other stuff.
And I think magic items, we can kind of wait till later to start upgrading.
Limited potions of healing. So if you guys, any common level potion, the herbalist would be able to create.
There's a lot of stuff.
There is.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Let's say the cartographer first. I think that's kind of like what we're agreeing on. Followed by the herbalist.
Herbalist, yeah.
And then the arcanist.
Yeah, so the cartographer will be finished before like the day of the ritual. They'll have their basics established. So then if you guys leave the camp or do something else after that, you can then say, while we're gone, we would like you to do these two things. And depending on how long you're gone, those two would also be finished by the time you return. So
I think the other reason the cartographer makes a lot of sense is we may want to change the structure of some of those other priorities depending on what we figure out is around us.
Yeah,
if there's a giant goblin camp, maybe we'll move
there's a possibility the defenses might.
Yeah.
There might be a point where we're like, that should be important.
So
but not now.
Yeah, with your direction, they'll spend a majority of their energy getting that up. So that'll be in the next 3 days. And then over the course of 2 weeks, base level of everything will begin to be established. And so like you guys you're speeding things up for yourself, which is good there. All right, cool. So cartographer, would one of you to be the manager. So you are technically not high enough level for the Bastion mechanic, which exists in the new 2024 Player's Handbook. And we'll start bringing those things in at 5th level with a little bit of caveat in that some of it doesn't make sense if you haven't established proper relations with people around you. Like you have the relationship with the stone giants, but like building in trade doesn't make sense if you don't know who you're trading with. So we'll have some limits there. So those Bastion mechanics will come in in 5th level, and they'll be more specific. But this is kind of like the group challenge here. Who would like to manage keeping track of what you guys have available for you at the base? And I'll send that person the stats, and then they can communicate those out when you guys are back and you're doing downtime stuff.
All right, Stardew Valley peeps, where are you at?
I can do it.
Okay, all right, cool. So I will send, Jace, I'll send you later the like kind of the base structure and like where you at right now.
Perfect.
Awesome. As you guys
never asked me to take notes about anything else again, guys. This is my thing now.
As you guys are here, go ahead.
I'm good at that type. If Jace, if you ever get sick and tired of it, or it doesn't. It might be like a cool thing if we like trade it off at some point. So like everybody who wants a turn with it, like can do it.
And right now, Kieran is the dedicated cartographer as well. So you guys can figure out those for your group. And then Kieran, your job will be when you come back, spending part of your downtime helping them update maps for what you've seen versus what they've seen.
Do I get a cool little title?
Sure. You are the manager of the base. The base manager. You get to name the like. Lucky if you want to name the base camp.
Yeah.
Naming it. Yeah. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I will take any suggestions from the
because this won't be the only camp the expedition establishes. So like you guys will be kind of plotting places all around. So that'll be there.
What's the name of the giant village?
So they call it Makta after the mountain.
Is it Makta or Magda?
Makta. M-A-Q-D-A. Makta.
Oh. I think the proper term for the job position, Jace, is Castellan.
Yeah, it is Castellan. Yeah.
Castellan.
Cool. I like that.
The manager of a castle or a base or structure.
Sounds like a little treat.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right. And that takes us into downtime. So you guys have to the remainder of today. So we'll say 8 hours. And then tomorrow, another 8 hours before the ceremony actually takes place at sunset. So you have the day tomorrow to do what you like. During downtime, you can accomplish any number of tasks. Some things do require you to spend time doing them. But with our downtime rules, during a downtime period, You can complete as many tasks as time allows, but every task that you do beyond the first one, the DC to complete the task is harder because you're trying to rush and spend more time doing things. There's a lot of things that you guys can accomplish. Typical downtime activities you're more than welcome to do. Ones that make sense right now that are structured. You could spend time building relationships with an NPC. You could spend time building faction and alliance relationships. So right now you guys are friendly with the stone giants, but you guys could start expanding that to a deeper connection if you like. You can spend time exploring around the area, and you can do that individually or as groups. You can spend time researching or doing information gathering, and you still do have access to Admis K for that. And then you guys haven't leveled up, so you wouldn't do character advancement, but skill development, Ravik, you could spend some of your time if you wanted to, trying to work towards weapon mastery, for instance. You can simply rest and relax if you like. And then of course, player's choice on anything else that you'd like to do.
We haven't leveled up, right? We're level 3.
Yeah.
Still level 3.
I knew it was gonna happen.
Still level 3.
Everyone has asked about the level up except me.
I have an excuse, which is that I
wasn't
haven't been
here.
here
That's
for
okay.
long.
No.
Big
It was
excuse,
every time
actually.
someone logged on, they were like, "Have we leveled up?"
I was talking about my character's rule changes, and then it triggered Ronnie. It was like a whole thing.
I'm
That's so
I was
funny.
like-
you all know when the level up will happen. The milestone
I
wasn't.
just saw the grin on
just wanna
Alan's
make sure we
face. It
didn't-
was like, have I made a mistake?
No, the milestone wasn't.
He just hit the
ending it.
trifecta.
Yeah,
No,
There we
I
go.
made a bet. That was okay. Now it's Chase's turn.
Also, why are me and Jace wearing the same
Funny.
shirt?
you guys know.
Why are we literally wearing the same
No,
thing?
that's cute.
Oh, same person, different font.
It's like Christmas in the joint. All right. So we could either roll, or you guys can just like one of you would like to jump up and say what you'd like to do to spend your time.
I would like
Can
to.
I- well, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. I'm sorry. I'll go quick because
Go ahead, Ronnie.
I only have
You
like
got it.
two quick little things I want to do. So for the morning when I wake up, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quietly go down to the nearest source of water and make sure I have a private moment. And I'll do my little ritual.
Okay.
And like tap my glass rods together a few times to where they make the chiming music, and then place them into the water. And I'm going to place a very intricately, because I got the like the mushroom remains from like the killer mushrooms, right?
You did.
So I'm gonna take some of those and actually wrap them around the piece of crystal that I found in the little pool.
The Zephrysite shard.
Yeah, the crystal Zephrysite shard, and I'm gonna wrap them in like as much mushroom as I can, and then I'll put them in the water.
Okay. So
and see if it'll be accepted.
So this is your first activity during downtime. The DC is at 10, and you can make a persuasion check.
Yeah, pretty persuasive. Let's see. Ooh. It's a 14 on the dice, so, and then whatever my modifier is, which is pretty dang high. Where? 21.
21. All right. So let me see.
And I'm gonna message you something.
Yeah, message me while I'm looking, because a Zephrysite shard is an incredibly valuable gift to
I
give.
think so.
Yeah. And so the little water weird appears when you create your charm or the tune, and it kind of wraps up the object that you've done, and it immediately, like, there's a moment where it like spits it back out, but then elements of the mushroom begin to fall away, and it sees what's inside, and it swarms back over it again, and it rushes quickly away down the stream and further on towards the ocean.
And I'm going to yell out, that should tide me over for a while.
And then, as you're yelling out, there is a disruption in, like, almost like your voice carries into the water, and there's this reverberation in the water, and suddenly you see a face appear in the water, like made of rising water falling off the side, large eyes and this large face, and it's he just says, "Good to see you're keeping up your end of the bargain then. A little blessing to see that the gifts continue to flow." And you gain access to the Speak with Animals spell.
Nice.
Thanks.
That was unintended. Okay.
Mm-hmm. You feel
Tell that
like the magic kind of swells within, and you kind of feel this energy tracing up your arm and up your neck, and then kind of hits in your mouth. And for a moment, there's like this runic flash in your tongue, and you kind of taste salt water. But that is now in your repertoire. And you can cast it once a day without using a spell slot.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
You get to curse fish.
Mm-hmm.
Always wanted to argue with a dolphin. That's great.
Right. Yeah. Anything else, Ravik, that you'd like to complete in your downtime?
I might go find Kieran and ask Kieran if he wants to spar a bit and keep our skills sharp.
He'll go for that.
Yeah, and that won't take up any of your time, Kieran. You're able to aid an ally in their downtime.
If I spend part of my downtime on it, though, would that give Ronnie a chance to boost up a couple of levels?
Yeah, if you want to sacrifice one of your roles to help him do that, then absolutely you can. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, cool. So Kieran, make a. It's the same kind of thing before, like whatever you think guides your fighting, whether it's wisdom, strength, dexterity, make a check using just that modifier. And then Ravik, you are making a wisdom check. And your DC, and you can make it with advantage with Kieran's help. And your DC is 15, Ravik.
Good. 2 and hold on, advantage. Ooh, a 15 on the dice.
15 on the die.
Oh.
And
Nice.
I don't have any modifiers to wisdom, I don't think.
So it's a 15 straight. So you would have gained just 1 level, but with Kieran's help, you gain 2. So you're now, I think, 3 towards your
That's
weapon
my
mastery.
boy, Kieran.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, thank you, Kieran. I appreciate you taking some time with me.
Kieran put down his headset.
Oh. So I have to switch between windows. I don't know what's going on in the...
All right. Anything else, Ravik, on your downtime?
I maybe just walk around the village and talk to a few of the giants. Just start up.
Okay. This is
conversations,
potentially building faction. So we'll see how successful you are at that. Go ahead and make a a persuasion check. Your DC is 20.
20? Oh my god. I didn't make it. Let me see. Persuasion. It's +7. Okay. I got a 14.
14.
I rolled
Okay.
a 7 on the dice.
So like you don't gain any like additional benefits in terms of towards the faction, but you also don't like hurt the faction relationship in your time.
A few people know my name now.
Yeah, they know you a little bit better. They're a little concerned about the fact that some of them have seen you going in and out of houses a couple of times, but yeah. All right. Anybody else?
I only go where I'm invited.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Or where you're not invited.
Oh, yeah.
You weren't asked not to.
Yeah.
It's very true.
I will.
Go ahead, Bonnie.
I will. So we've saved the wagon from the potential fire and everything, but it still like was involved in a crash. I want to spend like half my day doing like preventative maintenance, I guess, just like making sure like spokes aren't split or like the yoke's fine. Like,
okay. And Harold would help you do that. So you have advantage on the check. Do you have proficiency in carpenter's tools?
I do.
Okay. Then you may roll a skill check. I don't remember what tool proficiency carpenter's tools falls under. I imagined it's strength.
Strength or dex?
It would be dex.
Tools.
We have the book.
I do, but I'm not as familiar with this book
Not
as I
used to
was with
this
the
book.
old book.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grimoire is changed.
Go ahead and just make it a strength check to right now, and I'll check it to again, and we'll next time if it has to be something different, we'll do that.
So can I apply my proficiency bonus?
Yes, because you have proficiency with the tool.
All right. So that's a 22 and a. Okay, yeah, we're going with 22.
Oh, good. It is strength. I was right there. All right, 22. Good. So you, sir, went above the DC by more than 10, and so that has a dramatic improvement. So in addition to repairing all of the issues with the cart, you are able to make one non-magical upgrade to the cart in the time that you have. So you can kind of think what you'd like to do to make the cart better. Mm-hmm.
4-wheel drive. No, I'll think of something.
Okay. Good.
And so that's like half my day, I guess. What would you equate that to?
So I would say like that probably takes most of the first day, but you have a whole second day. You have, again, and you can try to complete as many tasks as you'd like in that time, but the DC goes up to show like you're rushing through things.
Yes. We're all just doing the first day right now, right?
Nope, you're doing your whole downtime part. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The second day, I would like to. I imagine this. I mean, I'm making broad assumptions here, but I imagine the stone giants have some kind of like test of strength or something like that.
I mean, you haven't seen them do anything like that, like a festival or whatever. But they
lifting stone or something.
Yeah, I mean, like you're seeing many of them are constantly carrying heavy objects places, and you do see like a lot of the shepherds will be carrying like the ewes of the giant sheep on their shoulders. So if you wanted to show off your strength, aiding the farmers would probably be the place that Bonnie would find a chance to do that.
Yeah, Bonnie's gonna try to like improve relationships by helping the farmers out.
Absolutely could,
because she knows that she was a farmer. She knows that like that life and everything.
Perfect. Yeah. So you can go and make a strength check. The DC is 15, and to have it have a positive impact on the relationship with the village.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 21.
So you kind of make your way up the mountain and to above the village where the paddocks are all on the third plateau of the village. And you kind of encounter one of the giants here. This guy's name is Gneis, Gneis. And he says, "Oh, little one, are you here to view our farming expedition?"
Oh, I would just like to help if any way that I can.
He looks at one of the sheep and then at you. The sheep is about twice your size, and says, "This I would like to see." And how does Bonnie handle, like with a 21 strength, you are clearly able to lift the sheep. How does it look when Bonnie is showing off their strength to the giant?
She's I'm not gonna say she's subtle about it, but she's very nonchalant. Like this is not like she doesn't do reps or anything like that. She's just she's like, oh, we're moving that sheep. Okay, it picks it up and goes.
It's the moment in Kanto and she just picking up the donkeys. Absolutely. And Nice is thoroughly impressed, and so that, let me mark that, will have a positive relationship change to the giant relationship. Good. They now kind of the giants, as all of you are going about your days and doing your own thing, as you encounter giants, at some point you start hearing them talk about not knowing that rabbits were stronger than like they were strong like ants, that they were small but able to lift things that were so much larger than they appeared.
Here.
Right. Anything else?
Well, it's also like, have you seen the size of that rabbit?
Yeah. Harrigan are not native to Highwall, so you would be the only one that they've seen.
Aside from Harold, but
hey, Harold. Anything else you'd like to do with your downtime, Bonnie?
Any extra time, she's going to read that witch book.
Okay. So this will be another investigation check. The DC is 20 to expand, but anytime you spend researching, the next time the DC would be lowered because it's like mapping out the text. So the DC for this reading is 20.
Okay, so unless I get a natural 20 on this, it's not happening.
And you just might, but you never know.
I got a 9.
A 9. Okay. Yeah. So it's. I mean, Bonnie is not like, of all the things that Bonnie is. Bonnie is not a scholar, and so what it probably looks like is you're making a lot of notes of like vocabulary words that you need someone else to explain to you, and so the next time you're digging in, your research could potentially turn out better.
This would be so much easier if there were pictures.
All right. Kieran, Andalus, Lucky, who'd like to dive into downtime?
I can go if it's going to be
Yeah, go ahead, Lucky.
So I would like to first try to spend some time meditating / praying, kind of that balance between and seeing if I can reach higher power and try to see if they know anything about this area, the giants, the ritual, anything that would be useful to me.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So this would be just a general wisdom check.
Cool.
A DC of 10.
Yeah. Sorry. I got to bring up Google Dice.
Google Dice.
Unless Scout, you can give me a number. Can you say a number?
Yeah.
What? You don't know how to count.
I think dogs would always give natural 20.
Mm-hmm.
They would.
They're like, it turns into a ball and then you throw it.
I got a 20.
A 20. Okay. So it succeeds by more than 10, or right at 10. So with that in mind, you have realized that connecting with your deity feels very different than it has in the past, meaning before the deity died, as far as you know. And so you sometimes have these moments of a clear connection, and it sometimes feels almost just like a passive observational thing. You can feel the energy of the deity acknowledging the presence around you. Sometimes you have that direct connection. So you send out in the ways that you do. What does it look like when Lucky is praying?
I think it's just finding somewhere alone. So I would assume for this it would be off the base, maybe on the edge of the forest, but not in. and just like sitting and being like very, very still. I think just like having like the light cantrip up, like in hands, and just like focusing on like that energy.
Good. Yeah. Anybody who's working around the base, seeing this kind of like beacon off away down by the trees, kind of lighting up the area around you. And you kind of send out that question, and you are sometimes accustomed to getting a breath of wind as a response, or just a feeling of sunlight on your face to determine the warmth or coldness of a response. But here with your question, there are words. I've seen that stone before at the heart of the mountain. Quite powerful stuff.
I mean, yes, that is very helpful. Thank you. Just gotta move along.
But when you, like, for the first time when you've responded, was there something particular that you wanted to know about it?
Will the ritual work as intended?
Will it? There's always the unknown. There's always the potential for chaos. I think with a piece of you, it just might.
Thank you.
And then the quiet whisper of not exiting, but that connection pulling back to that distant observational piece. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, and then I will I think spend time with the giants, like doing any kind of like ritual preparation I can. I don't know if like there would be anything that like I specifically as a cleric could help with, but like anything I could offer with that kind of knowledge, I
Absolutely.
think.
So you can go seek out Traume. And when you approach her with this, she kind of, it's intriguing because I think our magics are quite similar, but more natural versus divine. If you could look over some of our writings and see if you can polish any of the wording with a direct connection to the divine. We are basing our understanding of the magics of the mountain off of the teachings of our deity. No longer with us, but perhaps you would notice something in the work that was written by our ancestors. And with that in mind, you make a wisdom check. Or if you'd prefer, you can do religion. Mm-hmm.
I would love to do religion because I was not very good. Mm-hmm. That is going to be that comes up to 15.
15, so. That's exactly what you needed for the DC. And so you and Traume spend some time, and she takes out these old, you are used to scroll work and, looking through holy texts on scrolls. Like, these are slabs of slate rock that have been beautifully carved with these, embossed images of giants on the mountain and this kind of representation of giants coming from the stone, growing and living their lives and then returning to the stone. And what you notice in the work is they have a relative misunderstanding of what the Heart of Stone actually is. And because you know that it's Zephrysite and that it is not a source of power, It is a source of potential of power.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that a lot of the energy of the ritual directs energy away from the mountain and outward. And you think that if you suggest to Traume that directing some of the energy of her casting inward to the mountain itself, that it may have a more dramatic impact. But that's up to you to decide, because you also know the power of Zephyr Sight.
Let me think about it.
Okay, yeah. And if that's something you can let her know when you guys are going to the mountain if you'd like to.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else with your DC 20 roll that you'd like to check?
That I could have like asked the. Oh, that would be the third thing I do, right? Sorry.
Yeah, maybe the third. Yep.
Okay. I think. No, I think maybe just like. Yeah, I think I'll stick it out with the ritual people.
Okay, good.
I think I'll just keep.
You can spend as much time there as you like and focus your time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I really want to understand like how this magic works.
Okay.
Especially with like the natural Zephyr Sight.
Yeah. As you're spending more time with it, like going into the morning, and the ritual is taking place that evening, right? And you kind of return to Traume and you're working through it again. And you get to like the 5th or 6th stele of 7, right? Like that map out the full kind of history of this tribe as well as the ritual of Orogenesis. And something that you notice, and it's a small thing probably on the grand scheme of the world. The first thing that Traume said to you was that her magic was different than yours. And Lucky sees for the first time that it's not. That Traume's magic is just like yours. But instead of pulling from a divine source here, it's pulling from the divine source beneath the feet. That there's a residual divinity in this mountain, and that is the source of her magic.
That's so cool. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And you would revolutionize her understanding of her own existence by telling her that, but I think it's something that Lucky definitely knows.
I will definitely share this as soon as I figure it out, because I feel like that's like very central to like their identity as a people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I will hold off on the ritual information for right now.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
When you tell Traume, like Traume kind of goes silent. Like, I know the first Dreamwalkers were called Dreamwalkers because they walked the very earth with the gods. They strode alongside them. They built mountains and valleys with their help and their aid. And I thought we were calling to something so distant, but that means that a seed of Gaios is here, if I can still draw on it. Thank you. I've been afraid the last 10 years that it would fade. But if you are still able to call on Bellinor, then perhaps, maybe it won't ever go away.
I think if you continue to do what you're doing, then it won't.
God. I'm proud to have you by my side when we do it then.
I'm very happy to be here.
Good. In addition to helping complete the ritual, that also gives a boost to the relationship between them, between you guys and the stone giants. All right, Kieran and Andalus.
Ace, you or me?
Oh, I can go first.
Okay.
So I want to hang out with Felinor the first day because I have mold for him.
Okay, so you're going to build a relationship with an NPC.
Was anyone surprised by that?
No. So you find Belenor. Belenor he's working with, kind of working with the alchemist Prelaquin, because any work that Felinor does as a naturist is going to support the herbalism and the alchemy. And so you kind of find him there. They're doing a really shoddy work with a lean-to because all of the builders are working on the cartographer spot. And he sees you coming up, and Felinor has like he normally just wears like a cloth that kind of goes across his chest, but he's kind of pulled that and he's tucked that behind his back, and his tattooed arms, and he's kind of hammering nails that are going bent and sideways because this is not his expertise, as much as he looks like a strong person. And he sees you come up, and he's glistening with sweat as a Triton, and he's like, "Oh, Andalus, is wonderful to see you. Prela, you've got this, right?" And he just turns and walks away from the work and walks off with you. And so you've got his attention here. Yeah.
I know we've talked about it in the past before, so I brought you. It's really dangerous, so be careful with it.
Really specific about it. It can be a lot of things.
Wow, something very special. And I take out my little vial of the mold. Be careful, it's super toxic. He doesn't like fire.
The moment you pull out the vial, he just immediately grabs. He's like, "Oh my god, this is a rare variety of yellow mold. Where did you find this?"
Deep in a cave.
There's yellow mold in this cave system under the mountain.
You are not allowed to go.
He is very carefully like writing a note to himself.
I will only tell you where it is if you go with other people protected.
Well, I know that the Arcanists are wanting to kind of explore the region. It would be helpful to have a
as long as Shar is there, you'll be okay. Of
course. Wow, yellow mold. I didn't. Was it a moist environment? Was there a lot of running water?
I'll describe
all
the things in detail to him.
And he kind of is like, "Well, that's very odd. Normally they don't grow in such dry environments, but there was a leftover, clearly carved by water, but not within the mountain itself. That's very interesting. And maybe a new species of mold, actually."
I guess you get to name it then.
Anything particular? I'll do some research with it. Then we might be able to find ways to use this in some of our potion work.
Sure. If you need more of it, I can grow you some more. So.
All right. Andalus, as part of this role, it's a DC 10. If your goal here is to build a more solid relationship just with Felinor, then you can make a persuasion check. But if your goal is to just have a conversation with somebody else who appreciates the natural world, you can do a nature check.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning into the nature side of this.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead and do a nature check.
Oh, I failed. Cool.
You failed?
I stand there and I got a 6.
A 6. Okay. Well, you didn't fail by 5. So this is
true.
When we get into things that are like with downtime activities, like you didn't hit the DC 10, which means you don't get like bonus effects, but you were within that, like you didn't fail by 5 or more. And so there's like you didn't damage your relationship with Felinor. Sure. But what will not come from this is that Felinor is looking at this now as a personal research piece and not as a how can I benefit the expedition research piece with this. But that is something you could potentially come back to later with him.
Okay. Nice.
Because
you got him too hyper fixated.
Yeah. He's super into this mold, but you won't know necessarily if the mold could have been more helpful. But you could come back to him later on if you wanted to dig into his research.
Sure.
I definitely appreciate it. If you find anything else like this, Andalus, in your expedition, and he kind of fishes into his bag and he hands you 3 specimen jars, and they're slightly different than the ones that you kind of were working with general like potion vials and things, and these are slightly different shaped and have a different type of cork on them. He says the cork is slightly more permeable and allowing more air and moisture in, so you can maintain the homeostasis type of environment that a lot of these molds and things need.
Oh yeah, that's very good for the mold. Yep.
Yeah, mold is can be persnickety. You have to take care of it. It's it doesn't just grow anywhere.
Yeah. Right. Oh, cool. I don't know what to do now, so I like walk away.
Okay. That's talking to Andalus, and he goes back and helps Prila continue work on the alchemy.
I don't know how to give a gift for the life of him.
All right. Was that a gift?
Oh, I feel like, yeah, it was considered a gift. Yeah.
Okay. So not a token, but a gift.
Not a token, but a
gifts
gift.
have particular meaning for one such as yourself. So that will be remembered. And with that in mind, at some point, Felinor could be asked of a favor of yours.
Got it.
All right. Anything else that you'd like to do in your downtime, Andalus?
I'm going to go also hang out with Shara.
Okay. Building relationship with Shara. What would you like to do with Shara?
I'm literally just hanging out with Shara.
Okay. So
if she needs help with something arcane, I'll help her with the
absolutely.
arcane.
Shara is in the process of working with Weller on. They haven't started construction of the Arcanist's hut yet, but they're kind of laying out the runic patterns, because when you build a magical structure, like the structure itself has to take arcane elements in hand. And they seem to be arguing about whether to use a 6-pointed design or an 8-pointed design as the source of the arcane energy and focus when you walk up to it.
Okay. Should I just roll to see if I know which one's better?
Yeah, you can hear them arguing about the topic. So you can roll a Arcana check.
I got 20, so
20. Like you beat it by 5. So you know that not only like there's a couple there's options, like a 6-pointed arcane setup would have a more focused energy in the power. An 8-pointed arcane setup would have a broader energy in the power. But you've seen before the very careful working of arcane magics that tilt the two together and consider magic as not a 2-dimensional but 3-dimensional opportunity, and that they could construct the building in such a way that they take advantage of both the 6 and the 8. You'd have to walk them through it, but you've definitely seen, who do it.
Yeah, I was standing, I came up beside Shara and just started info dumping this, just like you did to me, and it just the exact stream of words.
Weller goes, I'm sorry, wait, are you implying that we should? We draw it on paper. Paper's 2-dimensional. And Shara goes, the buildings are not, Weller. How about, Andalus, could you, if we lay out the wall structure here, and you spend some time with them, kind of teaching them a little bit of your magic, and see if they recognize this.
Shara already knows, right? She already clocked me that once time.
Weller does not.
Nice,
but
good.
Shara picks up on, and it makes sense that a sorceress, someone whose magic comes from some innate element of themselves, is open to the reality that magic is beyond what I read about it in books.
Yeah.
Whereas Weller is a trained wizard, and it keeps his book at his side all the time and is constantly referencing it. And the reference isn't in his knowledge base. But you open both of their eyes to that reality. And when you guys when the Arcanist hut is built, that will have an impact and effect on its effectiveness.
Yay.
All right.
Awesome.
Anything else?
And this is not downtime adjacent necessarily, but I do want to talk to Lucky just really, really quickly.
Absolutely. You guys go ahead. Yep. Have yours.
I find you. It's probably second day, I guess. After that, And I'm like, Lucky, can I talk to you for a second?
Sure.
I would take you off to the side, and I'm like, the other day, I got really upset at you, and I mean, like, more upset at Ravik, honestly, but you too, and it's just, I really don't like feeling like that people need to take more of their energy to look after me than normal, or that I'm like a burden or something. So
I will keep that in mind going forward.
Thank you. And then Ravik was acting really weird, and then he was like,
He usually does.
He said like you had something for him, you had a thing for him, but then I was like, why wouldn't Lucky just give it to him? It would be so like you guys are with each other all the time, so I have no idea why he's you wanted something for him.
Ravik was implying that I am sexually attracted to him.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Which I'd like to clarify that I'm not. So,
congratulations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, that is.
I guess he may have misinterpreted some kind of thing. I don't know.
Thank you for letting me know, Angeles. I'll take care of this.
Oh, yeah, sure. Whatever you need, and thanks for not letting me die earlier too. That was really nice. So.
You're welcome. I don't think the mushrooms would have been worth it, but. But I hope I hope it was worth almost dying, maybe? I don't know. I don't see the fascination with them personally, but I know you very much do. So
sure.
From somewhere completely else, Felinor is like, mushrooms are actually...
Yeah. Thank you. And then he does his fast exit like he normally does, where he doesn't know how to end a conversation.
Power walks away. Yeah,
literally power walks fast away.
Dottie like is chasing after you at some point, and Alyssa just goes, I think at some point you have got to learn how to say goodbye.
Why? They're gonna see me again.
See you later then.
Oh, that's good. They will see me later.
See you later.
Okay. I like passed one of the giants or something, and I'm like, see you later. And like every giant, I'm like, see you later. See you later.
See you later. See
you later. See you later. Nod.
All right. Anything else? Oh, go ahead, Lucky. Yeah.
Can I retcon something I did with my day in light of recent events?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'd like to go speak with Ravik.
Sure. Where does Lucky find you, Ravik?
Probably someone with one of the giants.
Like
hanging out.
Scarda, or like up or the guy who the woodcarver guy, or just a random other giant.
Ravik would we'll say Scarda, sure.
Okay,
Scarda.
yeah. So you find him up on the plateau that overlooks the upper point of the village, but then also has a view of the valley and things beyond. And you know, Scarda's, they're not really chatting or talking or whatever, but I'm kind of hanging out up there with them.
Okay. I just walk over so calmly and just go, Ravik.
Yeah. How's your day going?
It was better before now. May I speak with you for a moment?
Absolutely. I've always Got time for a fellow expedition member?
Scarta kind of looks down at the two of you and goes, "Ooh," and then just walks away.
See, Angelus is onto something.
Hot exit. It's actually based on how Atwood leaves a room, so.
No, that's a 19
Okay.
insight.
No, that's how Atwood tells you he wants to leave a party. There's a difference.
Yep.
I have nothing more to contribute, and then out the door.
Yeah. Like 10 steps and Scarta's 100 feet away from y'all.
I don't know what the opposite of an Irish goodbye is, but it's that.
Yes.
Go right ahead. What can I do you for?
Well, I was speaking with Andulis earlier, and they...
Yeah.
Do you know where I'm going with this?
I might have a bit of an idea that I did perhaps overstep a bit, and they may be a bit upset with me. I sort of investigating your hunch that you gave me. Is that what you're talking about? The strange glamour or something they have over themselves?
No, we'll
I
circle
gather
back to
that's
that.
not what you mean.
So, Angelus told me that you told them that I have a thing for you.
Oh, well, Andulicite is very open. I see they
No, he was very much speaking as if it was a physical gift that I was supposed to give you. And I had to read between the lines. So.
Oh. Do you have a physical gift for me? I mean, I didn't get anything
No,
from you.
Ravik, I certainly don't.
Well, that's disappointing. Why would you bring that up then?
Because I would like it if you did not run around to our party members and tell them that I am attracted to you.
No, a thing for me. Lucky. Now, we're both adults here, and we have to work together, so I'll be as professional as possible. But I appreciate the
Am I getting gaslit right now? I think I'm getting gaslit right now.
No, let me finish. I appreciate you being candid and coming right to me with this. Honestly, I think it may be there's a lot of types of attraction, not necessarily sexual, but I think there is a mutual respect that we have for one another now.
I've had
Right. When I respect someone, I have a thing for them, I think is the common phrase.
Lucky. There's I will admit there are many possibilities that could come out of this working relationship, but I see us more as a good exploration companionship. And if Andulicite got the wrong idea, I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, but
Ravik, I don't think it once entered into Andulicite's head ever, any of this. Until I told him and I watched the discomfort magnify on his face.
That sounds a lot like Andulicite. How about we just chalk this up to a misunderstanding and
Certainly not. Ravik, you are
one of a kind.
that is the nicest way I could put it. You You are not my type. I know you might think that you are everyone's type, but unfortunately there are some people that you are not, and that I would be one of them.
Well, that's again quite big of you to be so open and straightforward. I will this is embarrassing. Let's I respect your stance, and going forward I'll be sure to continue to respect your stance. No possibility at all, huh? None, not even a little. Okay.
If there was a chance, this conversation is rapidly decreasing the percentage.
Yeah, well, okay. I understand. So
But yes,
helped to add a little clarity to our
right. And Ravik, one quick thing. And I will start taking off one glove, and then I'll take off the other glove. And Lucky will hold up a ring. And Lucky will go, "Oh, I am married, so I would appreciate if that you would not, it puts me in a difficult position, you see."
Well, I understand. There are plenty of people who respect the sanctity of their vows. I'll be honest, I've been with plenty who have not. But if you're one of those, I can respect that.
I literally am a priest. Literally, that is my whole thing. So
okay. No, Lucky, say no more. I understand. You have spoken your piece, and it's not fun unless the consent is enthusiastic. So we'll leave our relationship as a strictly professional one. I wonder if Karen's
right. Real quick, Ravik. Sorry, what was that?
No, nothing. Just thinking out loud here.
Sure. Also, I'm not married. I just wanted to see the look on your face. We'll leave this as a TBD. And I walk away.
So normally in an exchange like that, you would ask for rolls. But I mean, like sometimes a player just does something that gives them a natural 20 insight. And then another player makes a beautiful choice to roll a natural 1 deception. So I think that was fantastic.
Oh,
that was incredible.
That was so good.
And I appreciate the fact that you two have to be so comfortable for your players to have such an uncomfortable conversation.
Beautiful.
Of knowing that the other person is like, I'm setting them up. They're going to give me something back.
Yeah. Remember you have inspiration, because I would just give you inspiration, but you already have it. So the praise of inspiration from me to
very funny. Rodney, I hope you don't think that was me in character trying to set a boundary, because I love this dynamic that we have going.
I've set Ravik up to be a certain person, and I've made a choice, and I'm comfortable with the role play. So I appreciate
it's very fun.
And I would have asked for a roll, Lucky, on the last thing that you said, but I'll leave it as Ravik is in stunned element with this, as he even said. So I think that he would not be insightful enough to know whether you were being deceptive or not with your final statement.
Like Ravik said, if you're not interested at the moment, then that's perfectly fine.
I put a TBD on it. Lucky's goal was hey, don't say that to Andulicite. Of all people.
Of all people.
Lord. Kieran, watch out. Ravik's got you on his list next.
It mostly was, I will say, like, just peek behind the curtain. It was less like, oh, I'm going to like be like the moral high ground here, and more just like, I'm gonna fuck with this guy. So
Yeah.
Love it.
yeah,
That's fair. That's fair.
But Ravik doesn't know either way.
No.
Beautiful. Kieran, with your downtime, anything that you like? So you already helped Ravik with one of your things. Anything else you like to do?
Woodworking on carving the sword out of the new wood I got.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, like anybody can jump in and aid with this. So if anybody else has woodworking tools and would like to use their, so Bonnie, I know Kieran would want to do it on your own, but if you'd like the aid, somebody can jump in on you.
Kieran is going to do this on his own.
Perfect.
It's nothing against Bonnie, but this is part of the Zen.
Absolutely. I think that woodworking is all
woodworking tools I am proficient in.
Yes.
And
just checking what the roll is for that.
I would argue dexterity, but
I think that is correct. Woodcarver's tools, dexterity, yes. So go ahead and make a dexterity check and add your proficiency bonus.
Okay. Dexterity is a 13 plus 2 is a 15.
15 was
plus,
your DC. Yeah.
Plus I get that's a 19. And yes, 19.
19. Okay. Yeah. So you met the DC of 15. Didn't beat it by 5, so you don't get like extra bonuses. But what are you trying to accomplish with the heartstone or the heartwood that you got today? What is your kind of initial goal?
I think since this is the first time working with this wood, that the first day is spent, he kind of maps out that, okay, this much of the wood is going to be the sword. So I'm going to take some of this section that's going to be left over. And I'm going to start playing with that to figure out how this wood works, how
Absolutely.
It carves. Do you carve with the grain, against the grain? Is it hard? Is it soft? Basically figuring out how to attack when he goes to actually make the thing.
Absolutely. So with a 19, so you met your DC on this check, but a little bit of bonus on that. So you do discover like the warp and weft of the wood and where its strengths lie. It's not it has a very interesting interplay between the blue, like the bluish components of the wood and the darker kind of gray slatish colors of the wood. And it seems that if you can align the strongest portion is the slate. So you probably want your blade edge to be mostly in that section of the wood. And so you are carefully able to map out on the larger piece, like where you would need to carve away to make the curved edge of your blade match with one of those seams of that type part of the wood. But something else that you discover while you're playing with it is that if you carve the blue components in such a way that you expose the xylem within them, that they catch the light and shimmer almost like gemstones. And so an element that you get from this, in addition to understanding all of the strengths of the wood and what would make it the best weapon, you also get a little bit about how you could polish or cut this wood to make it a better, more beautiful production as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do my third activity, basically going amongst the giants and seeing if there's anything, any products, any goods, any natural things that would be of interest to my father and brother.
Okay. So, God, what would a
investigation?
I would say an investigation check. Yeah. DC 20.
Okay. Investigation is +4. Nat 20.
So, what is your modifier on an investigation?
+4, plus I get to roll a 1d4 because of tireless precision, which was a 3.
Yeah.
So that comes out to a 27.
27. And we'll say because it was a natural 20 that I'll give you the additional 3 that would be required to beat the DC by 10.
Okay.
So with a 30, the stone giants look like they are simple farmers. They have simple crops that you have seen in your travels in other portions of Illyria. They have simple animals that you've seen in other portions of Illyria. But a carefully trained eye, the wool of the giant, the wool of these large sheep here, you manage to kind of get a bushel of it and you're going through it. And there's something about the way the sunlight catches it that you're like, that's not normal. And you start looking at it a little bit closely. There's something about the sheep in this area where the wool that they have is like spun gold. It's not like gold colored wool that's mixed in with the white wool of the sheep. It's literally like gold is wrapping around and in the wool. In addition, the ibexes, the kind of large antelope style creatures that have the twisting horns, their horns seem to be silver. That the animals here, there's something about being raised on the mountain, being raised by stone giants, creatures of the earth, that elements of that earth are in these creatures. And you would assume that the value of this wool, that the value of this antler would be prized as a dressmaking tool, would be prized as, carvings of things of beauty for artisans, wherever that may come from. And they're just using it for real basic stuff. But you have the eye of identifying it as much more valuable.
I will pass that on when next time I get a sending from the family checking in.
Absolutely. All right. With
and Ace once again with the great facial expressions. Like, what the hell is he talking about?
With that in mind, so you all kind of complete your 2 days long rests. Any additional kind of conversations or follow-ups or things that you'd like to have with each other before we step up towards the ritual?
Bond's going to spend every other waking moment with Harold.
Absolutely. And Harold, at this point, you're back from your expedition. Like anytime you're in downtime, Harold is pretty much with you unless you ask him not to be, because he doesn't have a real job. You do notice a couple times that Harold and Thresh are getting very close. You saw him on the ship. He was trying to teach Thresh basic sign language. And every time you see Thresh, Thresh is constantly practicing the signs when he's seeing Harold. He's having you not just translate, but walk through how would I respond back, so that you're not doing it, but he's practicing doing it. You get the sense that if you wanted to, you could direct Harold to do the thing that he would be really strong at doing, which is becoming a third scout for the expedition. Mm-hmm. And since you guys are building up the Cartographers Guild, that would expand the reach of the Cartographers Guild. Also knowing that, Bonnie, that would put Harold in potential danger, but he's very good at taking care of himself.
I think it would be one of those things that came up over dinner, one night.
In the middle of talking, in one of the few moments where he wasn't with you, and he's talking to you about and Thresh, he was talking about this weird thing that they were mapping out the entrance to the cave. And there's weird carvings. It was so cool to hear about that, right? And he's kind of telling you something that Thresh had passed on to him.
Well, I would love for you to have the opportunity to be as involved as you want to, Harold.
What do you mean?
I know they need more scouts, and if that's something that you're at all interested in, I say go for it if it's something you'd like to do.
Oh, I hadn't really thought about working. I thought you weren't supposed to do that after you retired.
Well, no, I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying you're, and we all appreciate all the help you're doing around here. But if you're looking for something to do that I feel like you're really skilled at, I feel like that'd be a good fit for you.
Well, I know you're going to be off doing some explorations at times. I might think about it. Thanks for suggesting it.
No problem, honey bunch.
You too, sugar muffin.
Yeah, we need to canonically come up with their pet names for each other, but that'll be a different
Imagine
thing.
every one I've used for Harold so far has been something that Bonnie might have baked. So
You start calling him carrot cake.
carrot cake.
Die.
Oh god, that's racist. All right. All right. Anything else that you guys accomplish with your downtime activities before you head up the mountain with Traume?
If Kieran lets me, I'm just gonna follow him around.
Okay.
Sure.
Follow him around.
And Karen will talk to you and to
Dottie.
Dottie.
Yes. Feel free to talk to Dottie.
Yeah.
Sure.
At some point, Dottie says, Kieran, we haven't had the chance to dance or garden yet.
No, we have not. No, we have not. We'll need to do that.
I think I'd be really bad at both of those things. So,
Well, to start out with, probably. But then you get better.
oh yeah.
And I think you'd be better at the gardening than you're thinking. You seem to have a way with... Exactly.
Sure. He waves his hand over flowers, and they all bloom with the druid craft.
Yeah, some more of those heart of the mountain flowers just kind of popping up in a large tub of dirt in the area. Mm-hmm.
See, you've already got that down.
Yeah. Thank you.
So just the dancing.
Okay, Mr. Kieran, I'll try. You see him awkwardly trying to just dance by himself while he's hanging out with you.
It's in my shirt.
All right.
Yep, that's what he does. He's just following you around, literally like a teenager that's like, wow, cool uncle. That's the vibe.
All right. Anything?
Kieran has younger siblings,
So this is
so
very
doesn't bat an
useless.
eyelash.
Yeah.
You get followed
Robin-
around by younger people. That's just what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Robert wants so badly to learn more about Kieran. Just like this strange blue man who can sword fight. But I'll wait to role play it out later. I don't want to take up too much of Kieran's time. He's already got.
Well, when I'm
Popular
following him
guy.
around, I mean mug you a little bit when I look over at you. You're trying to join us,
Oh my
and I'm
God,
like,
hiding over to the cool uncle.
yeah. You sit there, do a side. He's like, don't you dare fucking come over. The same look he gives Weller, like, don't come over here.
Lord.
You both fight over who gets to go on the walk on Thanksgiving with them.
Yes.
No. Oh, the Thanksgiving one. Oh man.
The Thanksgiving walk.
The Thanksgiving walk. All right. But as your second day, as you guys are kind of wrapping up your tasks in the second day, at some point, Traume comes out of her large stone kind of temple-like structure and spreads the word among all of you that if any of you are going with her for the Rite of Orogenesis, that she's starting the walk now. And as you all...
I will grab Traume really quickly.
Yeah.
And just quickly repeat what my god told me.
Okay.
The chaos element and that the power should be
Absolutely.
maybe a little focused inwards.
Let's see. And that's added by what you've explained to her, that the power is also coming from the mountain.
Right.
She's been directing it outwards, and now it clicks for her that if the power is coming from here, why am I not putting energy down? Good.
And I will word it in a way, and I can roll for this if you'd like on deception, but I would like to word it that I thought about this after I figured out the information, the discovery of oh, I think this is remnant of your god here.
Mm-hmm.
I would have put together from that, oh, maybe the ritual will benefit if you do this, and not the inverse of the order that I learned it and how I learned it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You guys are friendly with the stone giants. I'm going to roll to see if she would even think about showing insight into what you're saying.
Okay.
Or if she's just trusting you. Oh, yep. She just trusts you, so there's no need for deception.
Whoa.
Yeah. And as a reminder, when you guys are friendly with a group, you have advantage on persuasion checks and deception checks against them because they are less likely to question what you're telling them for the future stuff. All right, but you guys make your way up the mountain, and you can tell that like Traume set out at a specific time, and she's keeping a specific pace, which is not so fast that you all can't keep up with it. It is a measured pace up the mountain, and you can tell she's watching the sun. Any of you with a passive perception above 12 would pick up that she's rising along the mountain at the same degrees as the sun is setting, so that at the moment you all reach the summit and the sun are equal along the horizon line, as the sun is just touching the horizon and is beginning its descent below it. And so you all arrive at that moment. And Traume sets up the ritual elements. You see small totems. This tribe doesn't make totems out of skulls. They make totems out of gemstones. And so you see several totemic structures, 3 stacked carefully on top of each other, braided together with rope, very similar to the skull structure, each one with carvings of runes along them. And she sets those up at 6 points on the outside, and goes to the center of the mountain and pulls back this braided sheet of beautiful wool and vine and all these natural elements together, and uncovers a probably 5 or 6 foot tall, 2 or 3 feet in diameter jutty out of pure zephyrsite, that the moment it is uncovered, the sunlight hits it and just this sparkle of blue shines all around the mountain around you. And she immediately begins to kind of pour white sand between the totems around it, and you can see her drawing these structures together. And at some point, she looks to you, Lucky, and says, would you be willing to make the final sand connection between these points here? And she points to complete the 6-pointed star cross.
I'd be honored.
And she hands you a small sack of beautifully finely powdered quartzite and sand that you can draw this final line with. As she kind of steps back and she says, normally I'm alone on the mountain for this. It's quite a blessing to have all of you here. You have made this possible. I feel the connection of the mountain again, and the ability to lead and guide our people to rest and reconnect with the dream. Such a blessing and an honor, and I hope that you all appreciate presence here. I will ask that there are 6 of us. It makes the most sense to be spread out along the points, and she kind of makes reference to the 6-pointed alchemical symbol or the magical symbol here, and asks you guys to kind of spread out along it. And she takes the one that's looking across the stone to the horizon where the sunlight is beaming across it, and when she steps in front, there's just this scattering of shimmering blue light all around her stony colored body. And she takes on this incredible blue hue and asks you all to spread out along the thing. And you all kind of do.
And Dulissa is like hesitant to do it until he sees that everyone else is kind of doing it. Sure. And then you'll see him after the fact kind of reluctantly shuffle to it.
Absolutely. And as you kind of take your points, she begins. Lucky, you know through your teachings that everything that is here was birthed by the 9 with song. That they did not speak words of power, they sang life and land into existence. And you've never heard a giant sing. But this beautiful baritone, tremoring voice begins to utter from Traume as it goes out. And it's almost like the sound of vibrations through stone, echoing out and sending reverberations through each of you. And you can feel like the warmth of her voice as she sings. And you can see the totems begin to light up as she isn't just singing, she's casting a spell. And you can feel the energy of this spell going out, away, up into the sky. And it's so strange to watch that Zephyrsite light bending and arcing like crepuscular rays away up into the sky. But Lucky, there's a moment where you realize she turns down and she brings that magic focused back to the Zephyrsite itself, which only begins to grow brighter and brighter and brighter. And Ravik, the pack at your side pops open and 5 small yellow gems fly out and take a point at each of those 6 points in front of each of you. And each of you feel a sharp jab as all 5 of them slam into your chest and you go dark.
Oh.
And that's where we cut for the day?
No.
Oh,
Thank God.
time.
Thank God.
Oh my
Did
god.
not sign up for this. What's going on?
Andalus,
Huh?
your eyes open. You felt a sharp pain. It wasn't like being stabbed. It wasn't like being shot. It was like an essence outside of yourself forced in and melded with your own for a moment. And you open your eyes, expecting to see the 5 compatriots around you, Traume leading this exhibition. But instead, you see yourself in a garden, a beautifully ornate garden with tall walls of hedges forming the entrance to a maze in front of you. Beautiful topiaries, the sound of distant running water, a blue sky above, but it's blue not because the sky is blue, but because the sun is blue and is slowly pulsing. And somewhere distant, you can barely hear or make out the sound of gears. Click, 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 turning, clockwork. What do you do?
He feels very like stunned, freaked out. And I think he just goes like sprinting off into the maze immediately.
You tear off into the maze. And you run for a little while, you get to a stop, you turn, you keep running, you keep running, you keep running. And eventually a voice calls out from nowhere and everywhere all at once. Little one, welcome to the garden. If you keep running, you won't find your way quite the way you need to go.
What is this place?
You'll have to look to see. Running isn't looking, now is it?
Fine. I'm gonna look around at the nature here and see if this is like abnormal nature.
Okay. Go ahead and make a nature check.
Hello. What did you? I only got an 8. I'm
An
real
8.
freaked out, man.
Really freaked out. But also go ahead and make a perception check.
Okay. Oh my gosh. The dice are still cursed. That's a 10.
A 10. You pause and the voice fades. But that pulsing of the sunlight, the far away distant clicking of gears, you turn, you keep walking, and eventually you exit a path and enter into a kind of like an opening within the hedges. This is a rectangular opening, probably 20 feet wide and probably 50 feet long. It's beautifully kind of constructed garden here at the center that you've just, like in hedge mazes, this is one of those interesting features. And as you are sitting there, you notice one of the topiaries at kind of the backside of this garden is a horse with a man striding it. But suddenly like grabs something beside him and lifts it up, and you see this stick with leaves next to him, and this topiary knight on this horse rears back and gallops towards you and jumps over you and disappears off into the distance. I need you to make an Arcana or Wisdom check.
I only got a 6. Can I use my inspiration on this?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Does that just give me advantage, or?
It gives you advantage. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got a 20 that time.
20. Not something that Andalus was very good at in their training. The moment that the topiary reared back, the figure of the knight holding the stick, the formation of the horse before it took off, it was long days of training of something that you should know more about, but were never strong in. It was the Knight of Wands.
Mm.
And you're looking at the spot that you're in, and this garden looks like the home that the Knight of Wands lives in the tarot deck that you were trained in when you were coming into your own. Now, Andalus knows that the Knight of Wands is a card of focused action, of kind of going out on an adventure to explore the unknown and carry their skills forward.
All right. Yeah. If there's nothing else in here, I'll either follow where he went or I'll continue.
Nice. And as you are exiting this chamber, you hear, it's my favorite. It's 5-card spread. We always start with where we are now, of course. Let's see where the journey takes you. Make a survival check.
Cool. So cool. I got 23.
23. As you kind of wind your way through the maze of the hedge, the ticking of the clockwork getting louder, the pulsing of the blue sun brighter, you make your way into another rectangular opening. And here you see a topiary that's very odd, that is a individual lying kind of face down. But now you know what you're looking for. The mosaic tiling around them is indicative of maybe a lake shore, stormy skies in the distance, but the hint of potential sun. And as you're staring, you see topiaries that appear out of nothing in the air and slam down into this person's back 10 times. And you know immediately that this is the 10 of Swords, which is a card that represents the kind of total loss of a situation. There's a storm raging around, and that storm has brought you low. And the voice says, well, if we start with where we are, our next step, of course, is to see where we came from.
He's like getting more annoyed with this, but he's still going.
Okay. You go through, and you arrive at the third spot. And the topiary here is this jaunty individual kind of standing with their hand on their hip, and their hand is out. But there's something missing from this. Make an Arcana check to see if Andalus can remember what is supposed to be in this image.
Is this the Fool?
Mm-mm.
Oh, damn. Oh, I don't remember either. A 7.
A 7. Yeah, there's something that's supposed to be in their hand. And they're kind of jauntily sitting there. And you notice that there's water that seems to be pouring into the ground here, but it's not coming from anywhere.
Oh, this is cups. Okay.
Cups. And so with your passive perception acknowledging that, you know that there should be a cup in this person's hand, but there isn't one right now.
Okay. Is there anything in here for
Nope.
that?
There's not. It is just the topiary of the page, and the mosaic tiling here. But it's a plant topiary. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'll use my druidcraft to make one.
Fantastic. So you grow a cup in their hand, and the moment you do, it begins to slosh over with water, and the water runs down to the ground. And he gives you a jaunty kind of like tip of the cap. As you know that the page of cups is, Lord, my thing is being slow. That the page of cups is about like endless possibility and curiosity, and trusting your intuition. And as you are walking out of this space, the voice says to you, "You might recognize a little bit of what it means to be born again there, don't you?" As you keep moving through.
Yep, to the next one.
The last
hate this place.
The next one, you find yourself in a room that has a chamber, or has a table. This is the first one that's had any kind of furniture. The topiary here is of a man, with one arm pointed up and the other one pointed to the ground, and standing in front of the table. The table is bare. Make an Arcana check.
All right. I can't remember which one this is. That's a 10.
That's enough. It matches that Andalus doesn't remember tarot as much as the standard human person.
Yeah, it's so funny.
You know this is the Magician, the second card in the Major Arcana, and that there should be representations of all of the Arcana, of all of the suits on the table, but there are not. And so how would you like to correct the image here?
I'm going to do the same thing, like put my hands onto the plants and grow them out.
You grow up the cup, the sword, the wand, the coin, the pentacle. And the moment you do that, the hand shifts and points down and then points back up in the opposite way. And the voice says, "As above, so below. You're rising here, but this is your assistance or aid. Someone who understands both the spirit and the beneath. I was wondering whether I could trust you or not," as you exit this chamber. And you make your way through to the final spot, and the sound of the ticking, the cogs, the clockwork grows and grows and grows. The pulsing of the light faster and faster, matching in so many ways the beating of your heart as it speeds. And you step into the final chamber, and you don't have time to react as suddenly a topiary made completely of barren white leaves charges forward, and all you know is that death is quickly approaching as the voice says to you, "And we all know the final card is the journey's end." And the sun goes out and you get to turn black again. But, Andalus, your consciousness is still here. You get an Arcana check.
Okay. Nat 20.
Perfect. There's a little insight here too. You know who's talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
She's trying to suss you out.
Yep.
She's trying to scare you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But death was the wrong card to pull to make you afraid. Because you know that death just means transformation. It just means change. She's trying to threaten you with the very thing that you were looking for all along.
Commonly misinterpreted tarot card.
Commonly. Kieran,
Yes.
Your vision is dark.
Mhm.
You open your eyes, but your nose and your sense of smell comes first. And there is the wafting, delicious smell of Atoka's cooking
Mhm.
pouring from the kitchen. She's home from one of her journeys. She's brought some new spice from somewhere and is experimenting in the kitchen. And when you open your eyes, you see for the first time in as many years as you can remember, the entire Von Riften family gathered around a table, not scattered to the four winds, not exploring the worlds and bringing things back for your family's honor. Your father is there at the front of the table with an uncharacteristic smile on his face.
Mhm.
And your sister approaches with a giant platter of some strange fish-like creature that may or may not be from this planet, and sets it down there, and the smells and the steam wafting it as she unrolls banana leaves off of it to reveal this gorgeously steamed fish. Make a insight check for me, please.
Oh, that's not good. That's 10.
10. 10 is good enough. As the middle child, you got to see the way your father interacted with your older siblings and your younger siblings, which is a weird place to be because you probably understand him better than many of your siblings do. Your father's smile is strange to you because it is forced.
Okay.
But he's laughing. He is smiling. He is there kind of spreading his arms in this moment of sharing the wealth of the family with everyone. Do you eat of the food?
It would be rude not to.
And you hear a voice in your ear that says, "And thus begins the way of thinking about things, doesn't it?" Do you verbally respond or do you just nod your head?
I just nod my head.
When you nod and look down, when you look back up, you find yourself in a very familiar image. You've seen this image 1,000 times, first on a crisp white page and then on pages stained by the grease of hundreds of readings of a young child with sweets in their hands as they're tearing through the book for the 43rd time. A gorgeous yellowed white expanse of pampas grass from now until the horizon, a gorgeous cherry blossom tree behind you, raining cherry blossoms across the sky, and standing to the left of you, a figure wearing a tunic, a blue and white sash around their waist, a scabbard in their side with a long katana hilt coming out of it, a reed of pampas grass in their mouth. It's not enough to read the story, is it, Kieran? He says to you, your hero, the one that you would have read about since you were a small child, speaking to you here.
That's true, Master Shinobi.
Well, I think it's time to see if reading was enough, don't you think?
I would agree.
And he turns and puts his hand on the hilt of his sword.
You do me an honor I do not deserve.
And
I nod my head.
And he turns to face you, and go ahead and make an attack.
23.
23. You both draw at the same time and slice outward, and you feel the whiff of his blade pass inches from your head. If you had ears, they would have been bisected by this blow. But it is enough for your wooden blade to strike across and hit him square in the chest. And he turns and coughs. Good, then you are ready. And you blink, and when you open your eyes, you're standing on the street of the capital city, familiar stomping grounds for you. You're looking up at the sky. The towers here are taller than any buildings in any other place that you've ever traveled, and the lights are gorgeous. And the space, the skyjammers are filling the sky as they travel back and forth, carrying goods from place to place or space to unknown. But it's very strange. There's a darkness that's descending on the plane, which is odd because you can see the sun in the sky, and you have a binary system. There's two stars, one sometimes hiding behind the other, but they're there. But the day is getting darker. That there is a shadow creeping across the sky, and you hear the sounds of people in exultancy chanting, or in terror screaming in equal measure. And the shadow, you're watching it. And it's growing darker and darker. And eventually the sun disappears behind it. And it's only when, with the size of moons, teeth appear in the space of the sky as its mouth pulls back and then opens wider, you realize you're seeing a memory of something that your people experienced that you never did. And just in the moment before this creature, this entity from the far reaches, the far realms, who is whispered about in the night, devours your planet, a star of Zephrysite shoots past it, heading deeper inward, and it turns its attention to it and disappears, following it away. You stand in the city street as eons pass, and the shadow doesn't return. And your vision goes dark. Lucky. Make a performance check for me, please. And you can use your proficiency bonus because you are playing your lyre.
Sure, yeah. Sorry, 1 second. I was so invested that I was like reading all the tarot stuff. So I gotta...
Oh god,
Yeah.
so good.
All right.
I'm transcending my physical experience right now. Josh is doing such a good job.
I know.
If we run a little bit over, is that okay for everybody? Because I want to get through all of your stuff. Yeah.
I'm literally so invested. Yes. 23.
23 is beautiful.
I rolled a 19 on the die.
You picked a beautiful spot to play. You know the exact right places to be slightly tucked in an alleyway, so you're not in the immediate danger of being under the foot traffic of a nobleman who doesn't care about buskers. But you're close enough to the thoroughfare that you're going to catch the attention of any walkers by. And you're standing there playing. You've got your hat out in front of you, and there's several gorgeous, like ladies heading off to the theater district. Drop coins in your hat. The beautiful tinkling of gold and silver and copper, truncating like percussion. The gorgeous song that you're playing on your lyre, and as you're playing, a familiar face. Can you describe two individuals for me from your youth? One who was the one that you immediately trusted before they even gave you their name, and the other who you would never allow to hold the hat when you were done playing.
Would these be people I was raised with?
Yeah, this is before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let's say there was a little halfling girl who was very sweet, very naive, always happy despite whatever was going on at any given time. Who I did trust just because I knew I don't think it ever occurred to her that a person could lie or steal or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we'll name her Violet.
Okay,
and then we'll say there was an older, maybe like a year older than me.
Yeah.
Races. Let's say a little. Quick, someone name a race.
Dwarf.
Okay. Yeah. A dwarven boy who, I don't want to say a bully, but someone who would always make sure that their own interests were taken care of before anyone else's.
Yeah. You see Violet come around the corner and she's beaming at your play. And the moment, and what's his name?
His name is a name. Andoran.
Andoran and Violet come around the corner, and Violet immediately is like so excited because she loves to hear you play. And this is clearly one of your best performances that you've been giving in a long time, and it's showing off.
Mm-hmm.
The moment Andoran comes around the corner, he kind of like taps the hat with his shoe just to see the money shift inside of it, and you can tell immediately that he's doing a quick eye on the count of how much you've earned.
I would like to just like lock eyes with him and make sure he knows that I'm seeing what he's doing.
Okay. And there's a moment where he has never, always with a snide turn of his lip, always with a huff. He kind of takes a step back, but then as you're connecting with him, you see for the first time, not just a snide disregard for you, fear. And you don't understand, like, you don't have power in your vision to make this gruff boy afraid of you. But he has fear, and he takes a step back from you, and then another. And it's odd because, like, you guys are in the shaded area of an alleyway, and he's taking a step deeper behind into the eaves. He should be getting deeper into shadow, and instead, he's growing brighter lit, like he's stepping into the sunlight instead of away from it. Jace, I need you to describe for me what it is like for Lucky to turn into light itself.
I think it is. It feels like when you're laying down and for a moment you feel like that, like that sensation of like almost falling, you know? I think it feels like that turns into kind of like an acceleration of that feeling, like almost like you're like about to go down like a drop on a roller coaster, and then it's over.
Yeah. And for the first time, like in this vision of this moment, you're seeing what happened to you when you became illuminated. You see Lucky suddenly rising into the air unexpectedly, growing brighter and brighter in light, and a beam of light lifting you off of the pavement, just casting this beam of energy everywhere, and people stopping and watching. But then you sift back into the vision, and for you, the entire world turns white, and it seems to take form around Lucky until eventually it coalesces into the warm, formless energy of Bellinor, extending them out to you in a warm embrace. And what could have been a terrifying moment of uncertainty, you remember now, was such a warm moment that you didn't experience in so many ways growing up. And you remember the touch, which shouldn't have been. How does one touch the sunlight? How does one touch the warmth of possibility? but it embraced you. And just as quickly, you see at the heart of it, like a dying star, a blackness begin to form. And you land yourself back on the ground, and you are watching that moment again of Caiaphas's absorption of Bellinor. Except it doesn't happen. There's a moment where that energy is coalescing there, and instead it takes a shape, a silhouette. And you realize it wasn't Caiaphas eating from the inside. It was just a form walking out of the light, and was so blindingly bright that you couldn't see it until it was closer. And silhouetted behind you is just this shape. You can't see features because the light is so bright behind it. And it just is looking at you. And it's the same warmth as the touch, but here made manifest and physical. And this is all so new. And it looks up, and you see a meteor shooting across the sky and hitting somewhere distant off into the lands of Illyria. I see my brother sent a message to you, then, it seems. Huh.
Is your brother the one that's... Is your brother who I think it is?
I don't know. This is also very new.
Who are you?
And you go dark.
Was that meteor a thing of Zephyrite?
Bonnie, you wake up to the sound of children crying. Such a familiar sound in the the home of Bonnie and Harold. Except you aren't awake, you're walking. And the sky is choked with smoke. There is ash raining down. It is impossible to tell what time of day it is. There's so much smoke and smog and ash in the air. And their fires are close enough that you can see like that dull pulsing of flame through the smoke, but so far away that you can't hear it, and the sounds are dampened, but you can tell that there are lost children wandering somewhere nearby you. And are they your children? Are they just children in general? You're not sure. Make a perception check for me.
It's an 11.
An 11. It's hard to tell direction, and maybe it's hard to tell direction because maybe it's coming from all around you. Where do you go?
But try to find the nearest crying child.
Okay. You take off in one direction, and then you feel like maybe it's coming from the other direction, and you follow that, and then maybe it's coming from here, and you're moving, and you're pushing through the smoke, and you're pushing through the ash, and you're pushing towards these distant fires, and eventually, like, you do find a village, and maybe a village, there has to be people. This has to be where the sound is coming from, and there's enough fire here that the smoke can't even compete with the blaze. And you notice it's because every home in this village is on fire. And you are standing here in the center, and the ash and the smoke is raining down. And you finally, you see some villagers, not small children, but you see some Harengon running out and away, trying to get away from this village. And out of the smoke and the smog, you start to hear the sound of muffled something. And it's getting closer and closer and closer. And you can tell eventually that it is muffled hoofbeats. And bursting from the smoke, you see 12, 15 riders on powerful war horses drafting in. One of them leaps over you and swings down with the sword in your direction, and you dodge away just enough time to see her pass by. And Bonnie, you are not walking this street, because how could you be? Because you are on the horse that just tried to kill you. What do you do?
I'm on the horse, you said?
You're on the horse.
I'm on the horse now. What am I wearing?
What would Bonnie be wearing in this moment?
Probably a helm,
Mm-hmm.
chainmail,
Mm-hmm.
her what would have been at the time her regular raiding attire.
Mm-hmm. And the blade in
Yeah.
your hand. Had you named the blade yet?
It would have been would have inherited it.
Yeah.
So I don't think we've named it yet, but yeah, it would have a name.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop my horse and drop the blade.
And you do, and it drops at the feet of a small Harengon child crying that you just leapt over. And one of the compatriots, and you're saying, "What are we waiting for?"
Bonnie's kind of speechless. She's gonna dismount.
Dismount. And you dismount. You find yourself kind of still towering over this small child, but it's crying there in front of you.
I'm gonna try to hug and comfort the child.
Okay. You go to hug them, and the moment you wrap your arms around them, they put their head into your shoulder. And then you hear their voice coming to you, and it just says, "Well, funny how fear should walk this planet so brazenly, and then expect the hug of the child that it cursed its family to ruin. Don't you think?"
Bonnie just starts weeping.
But you find yourself walking, and you are walking next to a figure, tall, has a hood up, wearing gleaming black armor. There's a sick blade strapped across their back, and you can just see the bottom half of their face, ruddy complexion, a thin, stubbly beard, just a little bit too toothy of a smile. "You are an agent of fear. Do you embrace it now, sister?"
It's not who I am anymore.
And you've run all the way to the far sides of the world to try to prove that for yourself, haven't you?
I don't have to explain myself to you.
Well, you're in my neck of the woods now. Let's see if you can explain it when we see each other face to face. And you stand in silence for just long enough for this stranger to walk steps ahead of you and disappear into the smoke and the ash raining down. And it's hard to tell if Bonnie set this fire, or if these are fires that have been burning for longer than Bonnie has existed. But they still feel familiar all the same. Ravik, you are in a tower made of brilliant glass, and it is slowly filling with water. What do you do?
I swim around, see if there's any openings or exits.
So yeah, go ahead and make an investigation check or a perception check. One will give you a different results than the other.
Wow. Use perception. 17.
17. Yeah, so you are swimming around. You find at the center there's a platform that's only slightly under the water. You can kind of pull yourself up onto it, and you're looking down through what seems like hundreds of feet. Like, this water has clearly been filling up this tower for quite a while, and it's got hundreds and hundreds of feet to go before it reaches the top. But with a perception of check, you can see there are an endless array of magical items and gems and gold that are slowly sinking, like the water has grabbed them off of shelves along the outer parts of this chamber and are dragging it deeper towards the bottom. I mean, ancient artifacts, legendary magical weapons. You see a blade that seems to be made of water itself. You see a blade that is wrapped in vine. You see a bow that seems to bring the wind to its beckoning and call. You see a tool with an ever-changing orb of metal at the tip that you've all seen carried by the ticket takers who you traveled with before. These magic items are priceless. What would you do?
Well, thinking of the impending danger and knowing the strength of the items that are sinking, I'll try to swim down, grab one, and see if it'll be helpful in shattering the glass in the tower. Maybe get some of the water to pour off, or buy me some time and slow down the filling up of this particular tubular area that I'm in.
Okay, you dive into the water and find yourself in the second home that you've ever known, the waves, and they embrace you and you can breathe and you're fine and you're diving. And the quicker you go towards them, the further the items seem to be out of your grasp. And you keep digging and diving deeper until there's no way you can catch up with them, until finally they seem to be reaching a stop. And that's when you hear the voice to the side through the waves. Ravik, is that you? And you see turning a woman, a beautiful, tall, elvish woman, brownish hair or brownish skin with this beautiful tint of blue when the light hits it. Long hair braided in elaborate braids with gorgeous shells tied into it. And she is in this gorgeous falling pose of sinking into the waves, her dress rising up around her, but she's caught sight of you. The treasures are now stopped and within reach, but she's falling further away. What do you do?
Swim after her. Leave the treasures where they are.
You turn away from the treasures and go after her, and you reach out, and just as your hand is about to wrap around hers, a tentacle grabs around her waist and pulls her deeper. This was not part of the deal, was it?
It was made in bad faith to begin with.
Faith. Something that doesn't matter much now in these days, does it? Or perhaps it does. Look deeper, Ravik, and you'll see the truth. Do you follow your mother's vision as she descends into the depths?
Absolutely.
Deep in the darkness of the waves, the magical items far and distant away, there's a glint of light from up above still shining just slightly through. And your mother stops in her fall. She stands. And she looks up at you. I'm so sorry, this wasn't the way it should have been. And she vanishes. Just in time for you to see that what you thought was the deep, endless abyss below you shifts and drags like the scales of an impossibly large serpent coiling further and deeper away to wrap this world in an endless, shallow water.
How would you use my real, true life fear?
You created this character. And your eyes open. Each of your eyes open. Standing atop the mountain of Makta here, Traume looking at each of you concerned. I'm I'm so sorry. I think the mountain spoke instead of me. It spoke to each of you. And that's where we'll pick up next week.
So cool. Oh my god.
wow.
Josh, that
Wow.
was crazy.
Terrified of Bonnie, just so you. That was scary.
And another time, wait, wrong accent. Wait, this is the. I need to use the other accent.
Oh yeah. So I apologize, Rob, for not throwing waves of enemies at you during the ritual.
I knew it would be something else. I knew.
Well, see, I was trying to do reverse psychology.
It was emotional warfare that you had.
It was emotional warfare.
planned for us, so.
Yeah.
I gotta log off, guys. My Discord's being weird for some reason.
No, you're good. Thanks, Alan. Alan, before you go, if you need a refresher or questions, because what was in your vision matters. So if you have refresher or questions, let me know, because it will come up again next week.
I have questions I gotta follow up with you on.
Yes, please follow.
Josh, I have a question that's just like a behind the scenes question, and if you say I'm not going to answer, like that's so fair. If I hadn't told Traume to like do like some inwards towards the mountain versus outwards, would that have like drastically changed something?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So the visions were always going to happen because you guys brought the stones were present in Ravik's pack, and as long as Ravik attended the Orogenesis, which he could have decided not to, I guess. Then the visions would have happened. There's an element of the visions that you got because of what Lucky did. And it's ultimately probably the more important part of the vision that you got. Now, which part of
You're welcome, everybody.
Which part of the vision that is, you don't know, but that was Lucky's decision to tell that expanded on what each of you received. Mm-hmm.
I really almost didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I really, truly almost didn't, but
yeah.
Oh, that was one of those decisions. It's like, this is going to have ramifications one way or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was like doing. And then I was like, I didn't want to like be like, hey, I talked to my God and my God says, like, I didn't want to pull that. So I wanted to like, once like you gave me the opening to be like, I was doing some thinking about what I said earlier. It was like a better, it made the decision easier.